check. It's working. Same. These microphones are working or not? Good. Okay, thank you once again. This panel, we have distinguished speakers in our panel. They will share their thoughts and experiences about volunteering. As we, in our first session, we discussed that volunteering is as old as humankind itself is. Volunteering was there during hunting age. Volunteering was there during agrarian age. Volunteering was there during industrial age, and even today. Maybe forms, different forms has been changed, but end always remains the same. The social betterment and the development of the society. This is the internal urge of the human beings. Through this motivation, they dedicate their time and resources for the betterment of the society as a whole. But during this age, the form of the organization of volunteering activities has been changed a little bit. At the individual level, people just put their own resources and time. But in this age, now it's a more collective activity. People are more collective, they work in group. Therefore, now volunteering activity takes another form, which is of civil society volunteering. Another form is corporate volunteerism, and there is another form of volunteerism which is at the government level, the organizations through governmental means. Therefore, we have distinguished panel both from government, third sector organizations, and civil society volunteers. One of our guests is from Greek Cyprus, Mr. Soritis. Another distinguished speaker is Ms. Hiram. She's from Sabanji Volunteering. And Mr. Hakan is from Ministry of Sports and Youth. He is Director General of the ministry. So I welcome you all. Thank you for your participation. So by taking the privilege of being moderator and being a good host, first I would like Mr. Soritis to share his valuable thoughts about the civil society volunteerism. He will talk about how civil society volunteers influence the political decisions of the Greek Cypriot. Thank you, Mr. Soritis, for your coming.
Thank you very much. May I have this, please? And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with you. I will now speak to you about events that are described in a book a friend of mine and I have written back in 2007. The book was published both in Greek and Turkish. In Turkish under the title, I wish I spell it correctly, İhanet Ukrainis Ayaklanma. In this book, we describe how the work of volunteers in civil society organization has shaped the recent history of Cyprus. In the winter of 2002, Greek Cypriot TV channels broadcasted events that were doomed to change the political atmosphere of the Greek Cypriot society in a dramatic way. Something extraordinary was taking place in the Turkish Cypriot community. In absolute contrast, opposition to what up to that time Greek Cypriots might expect. Massive demonstrations were in progress. Massive demonstrations of Turkish Cypriots demanding the unification of the island. Please try to capture the scene, the emotions. This community, the Turkish Cypriot community, which we were taught that it considered us, the Greek Cypriots, as an enemy, took to the streets, demanding their unification with us, their enemies. And all this after 50 years since the beginning of a bloody conflict, after 30 years of permanent division. It was an earthquake. Nothing less can describe the events. Even those of the Greek Cypriot press mass media that had always an especially negative approach towards the whole Turkish Cypriot community were commenting on the events in a positive way. A totally new factor entered in the Cypriot history in a decisive way. A whole population was not anymore the passive recipient of the policies and decisions concerning the national question, decisions taken by a small number of people. This population was now demanding to express its own view on the national question, and in this view, this population was challenging all traditional ideas on the subject. At this historical point, the Turkish Cypriot community did not consider the Greek Cypriot community as an enemy. Instead, they extended their hand, demanding an end to a more than 50-year conflict that had caused a lot of blood and suffering. By the end of February 2003, after the biggest demonstration that had ever taken place in the whole history of Cyprus, 80,000 people out of a population of 160,000 people. It must have been a world record in relation to the size of the population. After this demonstration that was demanding peace and reunification, the Greek Cypriot society was a different place. The feeling of distrust and hate that was prevalent in the Greek Cypriot was dissipating by the day. When the barricades that divided the island for 3 decades opened on April 23, 2003, we experienced incredible scenes. Take this adjective at face value. They were scenes that will not be forgotten, not just by us, but by thousands, tens of thousands of Greeks and Turkish Cypriots that participated in the events. You see, with the opening of the gates, this new magnificent mood of the Turkish Cypriot community started spreading into the Greek Cypriot community. Nationalism, this feeling of hate against people you don't know, has suffered a severe blow in the Turkish Cypriot community and was in retreat in the Greek Cypriot community. People that were divided and lived separately in a nationalistic environment, which at times took to the sky, were now mingling, hugging in a festive-like atmosphere. The way was wide open for historical changes. For first time in our history, the solution to the national question of Cyprus could be sought not through national confrontation, conflict, or in the best case, talks in a totally antagonistic environment, but through mutual respect, through recognition of mistakes and even crimes by the corresponding national groups, recognition of the greatest probably truth of our times, that the vast majority of people in all nations are always the victims of wars, have never really gained anything in wars other than pain and suffering. For the first time, talks could be carried out in a climate of common future sharing. Recognition of the fact that the needs of people to live and be happy are the same at every corner of this planet. Cyprus was at a historical crossroads. We were amazed. What had happened? Is it possible that what we were living through had taken place by accident? This feeling of the greatest curiosity to find out what had happened in this small community during the years that it was totally isolated from the rest of the world pushed me and commemorate to share into the recent history of the Turkish Cypriot community, into the events that preceded the opening of the gates. It is through this research that we came up with a book on the events. I have this book with me. It was translated in Turkish by Basin Sen, the Turkish Cypriot press syndicate of the journalists and in general the people working in the press and mass media. And after searching into the events, we found out that it was the voluntary work of thousands that made the miracle happen. It was the initiative of people, their decision to change a situation they did not like, that was the driving force of the events that had astonished us. The following is a short summary of the events. In 2000, a huge number of Turkish Cypriot associations and syndicates formed the platform This Country is Ours. The initial aim was to deal with problems of the everyday life, but soon the platform demanded a say on the national question and the talks between the leaders of the two communities that were in progress at the time. During a life of around 2.5 years, 2000-2002, the platform was able to gain the trust of the mass of the Turkish Cypriots. During the same time, it organized countless activities demanding the solution to the national question and the permanent peace. The platform had succeeded in gaining the mass of the Turkish Cypriots, and the mass of the Turkish Cypriot had succeeded in changing ideas and beliefs in both communities. It is very important to note here that this success had been built on the voluntary work and participation of thousands of people, without which nothing really would have happened. The success of recruiting thousands of volunteers, who in turn mobilized the people, provided the ground for a permanent solution to the national question in Cyprus. The solution, of course, finally did not prevail, not because of the inadequacy of the volunteers, but because a similar mass recruitment of volunteers in the south, in the Greek Cypriot side, did not take place. An effort for a similar mass mobilization in the south, in the Greek Cypriot society, failed to materialize. Instead, the supporters of the solution in the Greek Cypriot society, the supporters of the Yes campaign, relied solely on their attempt to convince political leaders by discussions behind closed doors, and the organized party members to argue their case at the very short time before the referendum. At the same time, the President of Cyprus at that time did everything possible to revive a nationalist and mistrust against the Turkish Cypriots, and led the campaign that ended with the rejection of an announced plan, the plan that the UN Secretary General at the time had proposed. There was a whole setback in the feelings and the ideas of the Greek Cypriots, but also the Turkish Cypriots, who considered the rejection of the proposed plans as a rejection by the Greek Cypriots of their will and readiness to live together. For all those of us who saw in the actions of the Turkish Cypriots a possibility for a rebirth of Cyprus, one of the most important lessons we can draw is the significance of recruiting volunteers for the work if mass mobilization is to succeed. Organized forces will never be enough. Organized forces will always be far too few in such fast-changing situations. Having this in mind, we decided to act after the rejection of the announced plan. Although the rejection of the proposed plan by the Greek Cypriots was an important setback, the biggest success of the Turkish Cypriot mass mobilization, that is, the opening of the gates and the contact of the ordinary people, was still intact. Firstly, historically now, two gates had opened in 2003, Lydra Palace Gate and Bergamos Gate. as a result of the pressure exercised by the Turkish Cypriot mass mobilization. A couple of more were opened later on, establishing a new reality in the divided Cyprus. The more gates we open, the better for the peaceful future of Cyprus, was our solid conclusion. Based on this conclusion, we took the initiative, a group of Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriot volunteers, to form the committee for the opening of Lyderas Street in December 2005. Now, Lyderas was not just one more street that had been closed for decades. It is a long street that divides Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus, into two parts. This street was first closed in 1958 as a result of bi-communal strike, the first ever street to be closed, 1958, and had since been the main symbol of division between the two communities. The formation of this committee had a very strong symbolism that provoked the reaction of the Greek Cypriot government at the time. Some months later, in March 2006, we volunteered, Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, to form the committee for the opening of Pyrgos Limnidis Gate. If the gate of Lyderas symbolizes the division more than anything else, the gate of Pyrgos Limnidis symbolized the irrationality, inhumanity, and suffering produced by the division of the island more than anything else. Pyrgos is a Greek Cypriot village and Limnidis a Turkish Cypriot one. And although they are separated by a distance not more than 11 kilometers, even after the opening of the first gate, you needed half a day travel to go from one to the other. This reality condemned both villages in real tough isolation. A remarkable series of mobilizations was made possible through the recruitment of volunteers, both Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, for the organization of demonstrations and other actions. As a result of these activities and mobilizations of both committees, we finally succeeded in the opening of both gates. In 2008, that of Lyderas, and in 2010, that of Pyrgos Limnidis. An important step towards a common struggle of Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots for solution against nationalism and peace was also the formation of the bi-communal peace initiative United Cyprus. Almost all the Turkish Cypriot syndicates and unions that built the platform this country is ours, which led the events of 2002-2003, are members of this initiative. The biggest difference, though, being that now the Turkish Cypriot masses are highly demoralized and discouraged. For the Greek Cypriot part, we succeeded in including in the common platform some trade unions for the first time. Concluding, I would like to emphasize that according to my view, the events that had taken place in the Turkish Cypriot community were of historical dimensions, are of these events that very rarely appear in history. If these events had taken place in a bigger, not isolated country, they might have shaped events to the benefit of peace in a much wider geographical area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sorotis, for your highly insightful comments about the problem of the Cyprus and how it is affecting the lives of the people and how volunteering is, as a civil force, as a civil society, they are contributing towards the solution of the problem. I hope the grand talks nowadays which are being held in Switzerland, they will be successful and peace will last. I hope so. Now I would like to invite you any questions or comments for Mr. Soritis, audience. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Ms. Iram from the Sabanji Volunteer Organization. She'll talk about the corporate volunteerism. As Sabanji Volunteer is one of the biggest corporate volunteer active program. Okay, please.
Thank you for inviting. I'm Euravon. I'm working in Sabancı Holding as Sabancı Volunteers Program Coordinator. Before starting my speech, I want to say that volunteering really changed my life. Okay. Volunteering really changed my life. Since 15 years, I worked as volunteer in international NGOs. I work as professional in an NGO who works for 10,000 volunteers. And also I work as Erasmus coordinator in Sabancı University. So really volunteering really changed my life, both in my career and in my life. So before starting, we have a video. As you already know, Sabancı Holding is one of the biggest groups in Turkey. It is 90 years old and it's located in 40 cities in Turkey and also in 16 countries in the world. It has like around 60,000 also employees. Sabancı, we have like Sabancı Foundation, which has a lot of philanthropic activities for 42 years. In order to increase these philanthropic effects in Turkey, we have decided to initiate Sabancı, the biggest corporate volunteering program in Turkey. It's called Sabancı Volunteers Program. It has two phases. This program, the first phase is online volunteering, and the second phase is volunteering teams from our employees. So our aim is to increase the awareness on gender equality for 9 years, and we will work for the disadvantaged women first 3 years, and then youth, and then the disabled people. So the first phase, we have started the first phase. It was online training. We have delivered this training to all our employees through online platform. We have like modules like violence against women, what is gender equality, women in business life, women against violence, and also early and forced marriages. So it was so exciting that all our employees really joined this online training. And then the second phase is volunteering teams. We have like around now 45 projects working all around Turkey in 11 cities, and we have like around 350 active volunteers, employees, working for the disadvantaged women. We have, as I said, 45 projects, so it's impossible to explain it one by one, but I can say that we work for the women who are cancer, we work for the women whose child is cancer, women in shelter, young women in orphanages, and also more projects like that. We work with, of course, NGOs, most working in Turkey. And after the reports we have collected, it seems that we have touched the life of like around 1,001 disadvantaged women after 1 year. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much. Any questions on their side?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So in your speech, you are talking people with disadvantaged backgrounds, like people with complications with cancer or people whose their children are patients. But do you do anything to actually empower? Is what my point being? Okay, you have people helping disadvantaged people, but are you empowering disadvantaged people in any way so that in the future they can help others? I have been a very close relative of mine has passed out from cancer, and don't believe that any kind of disease or being disadvantaged is an excuse to stop you from helping others. Kind of. So, do you know anything to empower the disadvantaged people so that at some point they will be able to take leadership despite the fact that they're coming from disadvantaged background?
Yeah, we have like some of our projects have training programs in order to empower women. For example, in one of our projects, Avibasa Sabancı volunteers working for empower women who have low income, and they training and trying to increase their financial literacy through trainings. We have lots of trainings in order to empower women. Also, we are trying to change the awareness also in our employees with these online trainings.
This is a question that I have been wondering, not just to the company or the foundation. Some of the corporate organizations, they use volunteering or social responsibility project as an instrument of marketing. Where do you place yourself? I mean, in terms of the moral values, getting benefit or gaining some profit out of this type of activities. Does somebody have a kind of strategy, or do they have any kind of, let's say, ideas or some expression that they will have actually, that they are not on the capital side of this issue, they are really indeed sincerely contributing to the society.
Thank you. Sabancı is really working for gender equality with all aspects in their clothing. For example, we have like I think 50% of our employees are women, or we have like and they are promoting day by day. Sabancı working with internalizing the gender equality issue in all DNA of its activities. We are not using it as marketing, but we are trying to increase the awareness in Turkish society also. We have very big issues in women issues also in Turkey. So we believe that we contributing to society, first of all changing the awareness.
Any?
you very much for the presentation. And I'd like to draw on the question my colleague asked you. Concerning companies, private companies, which support your projects, what's your organization policy? Do you see yourself as a medium to make advertisement about what they do, what donors do or not, especially when it comes to private company? I think that was the question.
What do you mean? Can you repeat?
Many companies do what is called corporate social responsibility. It means that they support sustaining projects of NGOs which have a social impact. But in return, they want some sort of advertisement. And the question is, what is the policy? What is the principles of your NGO when it comes to this exchange?
First of all, we are not NGO, we are just volunteers working in like 17 companies in Sabancı Holding.
Okay.
It's not it's not institutionalized. It's not something that is institutionalized.
Okay, there is a fine line between corporate social responsibility and corporate volunteerism. Corporate social responsibility is about where chief executive officers or top management, they took a budget from, they takes a budget from companies and they give to the for social purposes. This is corporate social responsibility. Here employees are not involved. In corporate volunteerism, what happened? Organization said to their employees, okay, you can use your office time, 30 minutes, 1 hour for the society work. That if this is employee volunteerism, in fact, corporate volunteerism, corporate social responsibility, it's at the top management level. First, these are the trends. During 70s, 80s, 90s, corporate social responsibility was the trend, where organizations used their funds through top management to give just like for the child labor. But then the concept has been changed and now companies are more focusing on their employee volunteering. They think by doing so, the answer to your question is that they can build a positive image in the society. The turn back or the profits or the return from this is their brand loyalty, their the brand image, a good corporate citizen, which is not only taking from the society but also giving back to the society. So all major organizations are like this. They are giving, but they're also taking back from the society. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. So Mr. Soretis, he talked about the civil society, how civil society converts the volunteerism into a political power and how they influenced their political decisions. Ms. Iran talked about the corporate volunteerism, how Sabanji is contributing towards the betterment of the society. Now I would like to invite Mr. Hakan from the Ministry of the Sports and Youth. He is the Director General. He will tell us about how at governmental level they are trying to build an ecosystem for the volunteering activities at the national level. Thank you. Please.
Thank you for inviting us. So let me introduce my presentation. They have to come computer. My presentation consists of two parts. So in At first, I would like to give brief information what we are doing in Turkey to increase the volunteering and to create a volunteering culture. As all you know, there are lots of problems and challenges in our world, so it's really difficult to handle all problems and challenges with one actor. That's why we are really eager and open to all kind of collaboration with all stakeholders. So last year we have created a volunteering portal which serves to whole country and named young volunteers. And almost more than 1 year we have reached tens of thousands young volunteers with our system. And let me give you a brief information about our system. A few statistics about our countries. Our population is almost 18 million, and young population is 1/4 of whole population. And our country, as you know, in the middle of Turkey, and we are really the leader of global humanitarian assistance. But as for volunteering, we cannot say the same good ranks. Volunteering under a formal institution is ranked around 128 between 135 countries. These are some. And our ministry has been established in 2011, and we do have lots of local branches, and we do have dormitories and sports activities, and we can easily get access to millions of youngsters of our country. And as we mentioned about volunteering, the state of volunteering in Turkey, we conducted a research. What was the problem about volunteering? Why is it too difficult, too low for formal volunteering level of Turkey? And we have found 5 different excuses, and that's why we have tried to create and diminish the barriers of volunteering. And first of all, we have created a user-friendly website, and around 4 billion people have already visited our website. We can easily say it. And we have determined responsible authorities, and we have just sent formal letters, and we have invited to all different stakeholders to our site, and we have sent letters to municipalities, federations, NGOs, and we have determined target groups and priorities. At first, we just work for demand side. One of the main problems, youngsters are very eager to be volunteer, but they don't know where to volunteer, how to volunteer, when to volunteer. That's why for the demanding side, we have sent the letters to formal institutions, and we have invited them. And right now, more than 1,200 institutions are registered institutions for volunteering posts, and our volunteer members are, the number of volunteer members is more than 6,000. And it's easy to increase the numbers to 1 million. Right now we are working on a service learning program in our university to integrate into our system with High Council of Universities. And while creating a volunteering culture, and of course we are creating supply side volunteering. It's almost the easiest side of volunteering culture, and we do have some main pillars: transparency, accountability, and sustainability are main pillars. Our motto is a gift from your heart. You might easily visit our website. There are 6 categories in our website: environmental volunteers, educational volunteers, health and social services volunteers, sports volunteers, culture and tourism volunteers, disaster and emergency volunteers. In our website, regarding the second phase of our talk, what we are doing for education and how to create a volunteering culture with the opportunities of education. Actually, since the beginning, regarding 6 categories, these are a little bit old figures. And also, we are also following the UN days, and we are putting the information such as humanitarian days, traffic accident days. We are also using social media very actively. And we do have a very good decision-making background in our system. And I would like to give some information about what kind of education we are doing in our ministry regarding volunteering. At first, we are working, we are collaborating with disaster and emergency services presidency of Turkey. Right now, under the name of Ready to Disaster Turkey, I might use it. I hope you might see it. With the presidency for 5 days in different locations of Turkey, we are conducting disaster readiness educations. This is one of main activities for education. The other one, volunteer firefighters education. We are conducting this education with the Minister of Forest, and next year we are going to conduct for education for firefighters, especially the forestry areas of Turkey. We are posting our publications, and we are inviting to apply for this education for volunteers. And the other one is about volunteering lifeguards education. Last year we have conducted 3 volunteer lifeguards education, and this year we are planning 4. And you might easily see, yeah, this is really important. You know, we are in a peninsula, and almost nobody has a certificate to conduct a LAG party. And the other one is about nature and environmental volunteering education. And this last year we have conducted 4 education, and we are inviting different stakeholders and using all famous Turkish artists Edison and Hülya Koçyiğit, Perihan Savaş, Filiz Akın. And volunteers are visiting the municipalities and west areas, and they are seeing everything in the field. You might also look at our brochures. So our main goal while doing this kind of education, increasing the positive attitudes between youngsters, and how can be active part of problems, and how can develop applicable and practical solutions into many problems of our society. And we are also trying to gain some social, cultural, and analytical skills and talents. And we are also helping them discovering process, human relations, and identifying different institutions. These are what we are doing on volunteering and trying to create volunteering opportunities and volunteering culture in Turkey. Thank you. If you want, I might also send our actual website. Here it is. Here is our website.
I would like to thank Mr. Hakan for his wonderful presentation. Now, questions?
I have one question because it's very impressive presentation, and I would like to ask if the ministry, as a governmental body, could initiate some legislative initiatives towards to have a real law on volunteering in Turkey. Do you plan any initiatives in that direction? And if so, how do you imagine in the next years this to be accomplished?
You mean for collaboration with different countries?
No, I mean the law which will give the framework of the volunteering, will register the volunteering organization, and some governmental institutions will make monitoring of their activities.
Thank you for the question. So actually there are lots of regulations and laws regarding volunteering. Since the very beginning of our republic, you might also easily see different kind of regulations and laws. I don't think so there is a lack of regulation regarding volunteering, but you are right, there is no framework framework law for volunteering, and I believe that it is going to increase the level of volunteering and volunteering opportunities if we can pass a bill and put into practice. We are just trying to create a culture, and regulations and laws. It's an important part of this culture. In the near future, I believe that when our top-level managers and legislators see the importance of volunteering, and when they have a chance to see what we are doing, I think they might think also a framework law for volunteering.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Hakan's presentation tells us that its government is also doing something. They are not always idle. They are also trying to promote volunteering. But the biggest obstacle in it, legal framework, as the findings of Euravon also tells us that in all partner countries there is no legal framework for the volunteering activities, which is hindering the working of the volunteerism. Therefore, thank you very much. If you don't have any questions from any guest, then I would like to thank all my valuable guests for being here and share their thoughts with us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Şimdi kendileri adına Manisa ormanlarına getirdiğimiz ağaç sertifikalarını takdim edeceğiz. Profesör Doktor Tuncel Asım Kutlu'yu Hakan Dokadiroğlu'na hediyesini takdim etmek üzere sahneye davet ediyorum. Abdülkadir Hızıroğlu'nu Sokris Bulabus'a hediyesini takdim etmek üzere sahneye davet ediyorum. Şimdi de Harun Muzaffer hocamız Sabancı bölümlerinden İrem Yılmaz'a hediyesini takdim edecek. Lütfen masamızın üzerindeki formları doldurmayı unutmayın. Daha sonra ekip arkadaşlarımız bu formları sizden toplayacaklar. I kindly ask you to fill the questionnaires on your tables. One of our colleagues are going to collect it. Şimdi öğle yemeği aramız var. Bir saat sonra görüşmek üzere. We have a 1 hour of lunch.